And hello and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I am Gary Mack.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Gary. Rich Baxter here.
Hello, Mr. Baxter. How are you? We have a busy week behind us, and if you notice, it's going to get busy. I'm sporting the Brooklyn Cyclones hat. It is the week that minor league baseball also is going to start on Tuesday, I believe, the 4th. I could be mistaken about that. But anyway, more baseball coming our way.
Yeah. As if the Major League Baseball isn't enough, we're going to ramp it up, get back into a little MILB. Yeah, I think you're right about the May 4th date. We're just a couple days away from that. And we made it to May. How about that? But we have a ton of things to talk about on today's show. And just everything loaded up starting right after the day we did our last show.
That's for sure. And some interesting stuff coming up. We've got coming up in the show, and I hope people will stay and listen. And remember to check us out. You want to be a part of the show, you can call us at 516-619-6341. Leave a message, comment, or question, anything like that. And we'll be happy to play it on the show. But, Rich, I guess one of the big stories this week that I came across was the fact that Robbie Alomar, the Hall of Fame second baseman, has been fired as a consultant by Major League Baseball and placed on the league's ineligible list after an investigation into an allegation of sexual misconduct. He was also let go as a special assistant with the Toronto Blue Jays. The club said in a statement that it released that it is severing ties with Alomar immediately and including removing him from their level of excellence and taking down his banner from Rogers Center. So, really, they're kind of wiping clear the memory of Robbie Alomar here as he is being charged. And this is after an investigation into an allegation of sexual misconduct. So they must have found something on this, to warrant this action.
Yeah, it's something that we heard several years ago. I do remember hearing something about this. My question and concern is why so long? Why so long from the time that this supposedly happened to now? And as you said, obviously something surfaced that made them make this move. But I did hear this several years ago. And to be honest with you, I didn't read too much into the exact story. Says it was misconduct reported by a baseball industry employee earlier this year, meaning 2021, involving an incident from Mr. Alomar from 2014. Okay, Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement, having reviewed all the available evidence from the now completed investigation, I have concluded that Mr. Alomar violated MLB's policies that are termination of his consultant contract and placement on MLB's ineligible list are warranted. Okay. Why so long? I've heard about this for years ago. Now, Robbie Alomar on the other side is asking that he can't wait to present his side of the story. So I think you might have a he said, she said. I don't know what said, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of years have passed by. And there I am for the YouTube listeners. Why?
Well, it's interesting also that, that in the article that I have, it says after an investigation. So it would seem as if the investigation is complete, and yet we heard nothing about him giving his side of the story. So um, something is up here, and I guess the big question is now, and it's a question that we've sort of brought up in the past, but we brought it up with the gambling and stuff, and why won't the Hall of Fame when MLB allow Pete Rose in now, and what are they going to do about Alomar? Alomar's in the Hall of Fame, and
Yeah.
he's in for what he did on the field. Now, do you take away? Can you take that away? Will they? Will anybody have the guts to say remove the plaque from the wall? I mean, it's he's gone through the ceremony. It's on video. It's know. Um, I don't know. If this was 2014, when did he get into the Hall of Fame? Uh, was there anything before this, or was this just something? As you said, is this a he said, she said? Did he say, "Oh, you look nice in that dress," or something, or did he? Did he get drunk one night and grab somebody in a drunken stupor? I mean, none of that has come out, so we don't really know.
Yeah. And it's something that, like I said, I've heard about this story a number of years ago. It takes that long for an investigation. Yeah. And I have to suspect somehow the MLB is the way they went out on a limb with George Floyd. I know what happened with him, but what did he do in the past? And yet it seems like the MLB put him up on a pedestal to become a saint. So I don't want to go off on a tangent on this topic because I know we're talking about Robbie Alomar,
Yeah.
but I just the MLB mystifies me with what they do these days. So I reserve myself to be in the middle of this and wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a strange situation, and it really, uh, we have to see what goes on. But, the things that they've done already, putting him on the ineligible list, and, Toronto cutting ties with him and, like, taking him down, like, from, the level of excellence, which I guess it's, like Dallas has the ring of whatever they call it, and it's almost like retiring your number, I guess. And with I don't know if they retired his number, but if they did, are they going to unretire his number? You know what I mean? It just kind of opens up a whole can of worms. Nothing in Cleveland. They didn't say anything. Spent a lot of years there, and New York, he actually played for the Mets and was terrible here towards the end of his career. Um,
In other
yeah,
words, he really hasn't been convicted of anything, but he's been already dragged through the hot coals of the MLB uh,
fire.
exclusion list. Yeah,
Yeah,
their den of fire.
yeah. They did a number on him, but we'll see how it all works out. Rich, in another story this week, the MLB released their Armed Forces Weekend caps, and I know you were checking out some of these caps, so tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, I got an email from Lids because I've purchased many a cap over the last couple years, and this year, of course, they're shipping their Armed Forces Day caps. And in a second here, if you're watching on the YouTube feed of the show, I'm going to have a post of what they look like, and they're really cool this year. It's got like a camo cover to it. On the side, it's got like a dog tag which has your team's name on it, and it's very cool. Let me see if I can get the photo up there for listeners and watchers here on Facebook. There we go. And yeah, there it is. So on the side, you got the Phillies or whatever your favorite team is, the Mets, the Yankees. Um, and I happen to think it's pretty stylish. I almost hit the button to order it, but not quite. Uh, but yeah, I kind of like it. You know, it's a nice style, um, and it's pretty cool.
But my question is, when is enough enough? I mean, how much camo can you change every year? And then you have the question of, it's just it seems to me it's a great idea. It's a wonderful cause, but it just seems like it becomes a moneymaker after a while. That's what I
Yeah,
get out of it.
yeah, and that's exactly you exactly hit the nail on the head. It's a money maker every year. I think it's a fun money maker though, and I believe that they donate some of the profits of these hats towards the armed forces, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so I'm in favor of that. But I we come from, and especially you go back further than me being a fan of baseball. But I remember in the days you couldn't even buy a nice Phillies cap or, name your team. The caps used to be crap. They used to be like things that you'd wear like 10 times and they'd be all tattered and and worn. And now they're real nice. They're fresh. Go out, sport them, you're looking good. But that's what I remember in the 70s. I remember these caps that were, I don't know, made of cotton maybe, and they were just so cheap. And now
with
I
the
feel like it's
elastic
luxury.
and elastic in the back. Remember?
Right, right. Now I feel like it's luxury. It's you know, give me some choices. I like choices.
Well, I can remember that they've doubled in price since I first started getting them in the 80s. They were $20 a cap. Uh, Maybe even at times you could get them for 15 when I first started, and now they're like $42 a cap. So that kind of slows me down a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh, but I don't know. I just think this is so. And look, the money probably goes to good causes, and I don't mean it, but it's the Father's Day cap, it's the Mother's Day cap,
yeah,
it's the July 4th cap, and they had a night. And sometimes the designs are pretty horrible.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I think what last year, 2 years ago, was like a baby blue, real light blue for the men's day cap and Father's Day cap rather.
yeah,
And I was not a fan of that, but it's going to happen every year. You do a cap, it's going to be harder and harder to make one better. But how about this one for you, Gary? We've got another special edition cap coming out here. The Stadium Edition cap. They're remembering the old stadiums. Here's the Mets logo here. Shea Stadium, 1964 to 2008. And they're doing them across the league. Phillies, of course, with the Veterans Stadium. Pittsburgh with Three Rivers. Every team just about has one. So, an ode to your old stadium, so to speak, a special edition this year. That's pretty cool.
yeah. I guess I'm just not a big fan of the slapping on I
Little
what do you
patch.
call it? Yeah, a patch on the side, unless it's like I've got the Met hat, which was from Mike Piazza Day, and it just seems like I feel like I got to get a regulation cap that doesn't have anything on it, just the regular one that's day to day, because it's just, I don't know. It's just
Now, look, I'm looking at your cap tree behind you. Now, you're a cap man. Now, this doesn't sound like you, but I understand what you mean, though. Yeah, enough's enough. You can always take the side that, how many camouflage hats can you have, that sort of thing. But, every year there's new people coming on board, there's new fans, that sort of thing. So, as much as I hate to say it, I think it's good for the game. It's not something um, overtly one way or another. It's just a cap. It's merchandise. You can choose to buy it or not.
yeah, no, I it's just I think enough is enough. Sometimes I give you an idea. This is the spring training cap from, I think, last year, and they're using it again this year, and then they use a variation for the batting practice hats. That's another one. Because now you have the batting practice hats. Then you have the regular hats. Then you have the alternate. And then sometimes you have the alternate two hats. Then
Choices.
you
We love them.
then you have the Armed Forces cap. Then you've got the July the 4th, by the way, the first or second year was the best design they ever came out with. And then they keep changing it. And some years they look ridiculous. Some years they look fine. Okay, so you got that July the 4th. And you got the Mother's Day, the Father's Day cap, right? Then you got the All Star cap. Now, the All Star cap, you've got the All Star Home Run Derby cap, which nobody wears except maybe you see a guy on the sideline wearing it, right? Then you
Uh-huh.
got the All Star Practice cap, right? And then I don't know and I forget what they wear in the game. I think they go back to their regular team caps. Now, if they want to do something, they put out that jersey, American and National League, but they only wear it at the home run derby or something. Wear that in the game. Why can't the National League have a uniform?
Yeah.
Why can't the American League have it? If you're making the jersey to sell anyway, people are buying it. Just use it for the game then. And use a hat that says national. But people know nowadays with all the TV and stuff, they know who plays for who. Years ago it was like you wanted to see, because we didn't get that many games on TV. So when you saw the All Star game on TV and you saw Willie Mays in a Giants uniform, that might have been only the first or second time you've ever seen a Giants uniform on television. So I say wear an All Star uniform then. But when does it get to be too much? And then the patches. Then if they get in the playoff, there's a playoff patch. And then I can give you an example, because I fell for it myself. 2015. I've got a Mets Eastern Division hat. I've got a Mets NL pennant hat. I got a World Series cap. I've got there was a T-shirt for the playoffs. Now that's the big thing too, if you noticed. Once the playoff starts, everybody's got a saying, and it's the playoffs. And then there's a championship series. Then there's a World Series thing. I mean, it is a lot, and I am not begrudging it, especially the playoffs. I get the playoffs because some teams don't get in it that often. You want something that says, "Ooh, champion!" We were the champions and all of that, whatever. But I
Mhm.
just think it gets to be crazy. I give you another example. I just went through the Brooklyn Cyclones. I'm talking about. Okay, they at one time had a red uniform for the road. They wore a red hat, and they had an alternate road hat, which was red with a yellow or a gold brim. All right, I got a couple of them as presents, or when they went on sale, because then they changed. Then they changed to a uh, navy blue with a what they call the North Carolina blue lettering, much discolor, but it's the letters on a navy blue cap. All right, that was
Uh-huh.
their road. This is the alternate to something. I don't know. I don't remember if this is the alternate to the road or what. Plus, they have a baby navy blue, and they have a navy blue with a red brim. I have all these caps. I've got 6 caps, official.
Right.
You know, and when do you wear them all? I mean, I
Well,
almost feel sometimes I go in, I put a cap on because I haven't worn this in a while, and I feel
yeah.
guilty.
Yeah.
So like you said, I'm a cap guy. I've got tons of them, but I just think I'm not particularly a camouflage fan, so I don't have any of these Memorial Day or Armed Forces caps at all. I
Right.
do have one on July the 4th, and I happen to like that design. I don't plan on getting any more.
Yeah, I sad to say that I don't have a camouflage cap, and each year that they come out, I think I want to get it. And to be honest with you, they're limited editions. So once your size sells out, they just don't make them anymore. I mean, they make a certain amount of run on the cap, but if you don't get in early enough and you have a specific size you're looking for, you're not going to get it. But
Within the
you
next
know,
2 weeks, we will see Rich on this show with a camouflage hat, I think.
yeah, I've couple years after, I'll search out caps from the lids stores. Sometimes they get the outlets going on, but they're nice. They're nice, collectible. You know, add one to your collection, maybe. Who knows?
I have to confess, I got a thing from MLB the other day. I think it was 65% off, and I almost pulled the trigger. And then I said, nope, I'm not gonna, because I don't know. I'm thinking of getting the MILB TV, and so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and I am on the fence where I said, if you listen to our podcast, the last few shows, I don't want to support baseball with money this year. They've made a couple moves that I'm not fond of. They continue to make moves that I'm not fond of, politically and otherwise. So I don't want to shell out my money, but I don't necessarily think that buying a cap is going towards the MLB. It's supporting a cap company, which I want to see prosper. Mainly lids, they're the official cap of the MLB, the on-field cap. They're new era caps. Lids carries them, so I like to support that business when I can. But I understand, yeah, it gets to be a lot of choices, a lot of money being spent. But let's switch gears, so to speak, real quick. And one of the bigger stories that happened right after we did our last podcast, of course, was superstar Bryce Harper getting beamed in the head by a terrible fastball thrown from the hands of St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Genesis Cabrera. And if you're watching our YouTube feed, I got a still on the screen. That's a scary sight when you see your franchise player being struck in the face with a baseball. Um, Happened during the week, of course. I listened to the broadcast of the game, and even the announcer thought that it had glanced off of something before hitting him in the face. And then he realized, Tom McCarthy, that no, it hit him square in the face. I don't know what he was watching, or, the announcers, as you said a couple shows ago, Gary, are in a studio now. So they
Mm-hmm.
can't see. They can't see if they're not there. They don't have the firsthand knowledge, so to speak. And McCarthy's saying it hit off of something. Then he realizes, no, it hit him in the face. And, what a terrible way to see your superstar go down there, 97 miles per hour. And the worst part about this whole thing was uh, the Cardinals could not take Genesis Cabrera out of the game. He had to face a 3-batter minimum. And what does he do? The very next batter hits him in the back. Didi Gregorius hits him square in the back with a fastball. Now, this is insane.
Well,
It's insane.
did they toss him then?
No, no, they didn't toss him at all. Um, Apparently, he has a control problem. That's a gimme. And I listened to a St. Louis Cardinals.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, I mean, a guy's rearing back. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. 99 out of 100 major league pitchers can throw a ball through a peach basket at 100 yards, probably. They're that good. Mm-hmm. Joe Girardi comes out of the bench screaming and yelling. Wants something done about it. Once the pitcher thrown out of the game, it's up to the umpire at that point. Do you throw the guy out of the game? I think you do after you hit the second batter. I mean, come on. Square in the back, and then you hit somebody in the face. Somebody's got to stop the madness.
Yeah. It was quite a it was sickening, really, to see. Because you hate to see anybody that caliber, that big a star, get hit like that. I mean, and then anybody to get hit in the face like that is just.
Yeah, I mean, could have been a life-threatening injury, career-ending injury. I mean, I realize accidents happen, but then you drill a guy in the back. St. Louis Cardinals manager said that he wanted to take him out after he hit Harper because, of course, that's got to impact the pitcher as well, I would imagine. But he couldn't do it. Rules prevented him from doing it. Now, could have he walked out to the umpire and said, "Yeah, could you throw him out of the game for me or something?" I don't know. But he publicly said that he would have went to the mound and took him out of the game. So you've got a rule here that was supposed to, I don't know, foster maybe offense. When a relief pitcher is doing bad, you must see him pitch to 3 batters. Why? In a perfect instance, this would prove that that's a terrible rule.
Well, I think part of the reason the rule was to speed up the game. They didn't want to have, pitchers keep getting changed after a batter. It slows up the game. But as you say, they put in these rules, but they don't think them through. And I think that's the whole hallmark of this Manfred regime. They don't think things through. I mean, if you remember, they advocated for, all this velocity nonsense, that everything. The other night in the Mets Phillies game, I don't know if you watched it on Friday night, but Alonso hit a shot and McCutcheon caught it, and it was a low line drive, and it got to him like that. Everybody's raving about the velocity. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, it's an out.
Yeah.
I don't care if it went out at 50 miles an hour or if it went out at 300 miles an hour. It's an out. He was out. They caught it. What are you raving about? Oh, my God, he hit it so hard. I don't care. He struck out 6 times in a row over a couple of games before that. So he didn't even hit the ball. Wow, it's amazing he even hit the ball to get it to that velocity. And remember when they said that strikeouts didn't matter, it's just another out? And now they're trying to get more offense in the game. So why not get more offense in the game by getting pitchers that control themselves? Here's the problem. I don't think these guys are learning how to play baseball anymore. I don't know what they're doing in the minor leagues. Look, the Mets had in the New York Penn League with the Cyclones. I went to games before this whole COVID thing, and they had a manager there that was playing old fashioned baseball, hit and run, bunts, and everything like this. He wins a championship, and they let him go.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is. These guys come up to the game, they have control problems. They can't slide. Everybody slides head first. They can't hit. They can't play defense. They're playing defense out of position. Why do you draft a guy as a third baseman and then move him to the out? I mean, it's always happened, but you see it so much more because now all the teams want versatility, and it's getting nuts. I don't know what's going on in baseball anymore. It is just such a crazy. It's like watching a crazy bin. These shifts. There's a ground ball up the middle, and the third baseman is making the play. How many times in the last 2 days watching the Mets and the Phillies have I seen ground balls that could have been double plays, but because they were in a shift, there was nobody covering second base. I mean, it was a crazy play last night. In I don't know. Did you watch the game at all last night?
Yeah, I was tuning into it for a little bit.
Well, it was a crazy play. Um, it was a ground ball on the second base side of the diamond, and the shortstop is there. What is the shortstop doing over there? He makes the play. McCutcheon is running from first to second. There's nobody covering second. So to make a double play or attempted, the shortstop's got to run towards McCutcheon to tag him to make the double play. Well, of course, he's 10, 15 feet away. He's running after McCutcheon. He knows, then he figures, oh, I can't catch him. So he throws to first base. Well, then the umpires rule McCutcheon, and if you watch the replay, they put a line. They said McCutcheon ran out of the baseline. He never ran out of the baseline. It was good for the Mets, but he didn't run out of the baseline. The guy was out at first, so it went from being like nobody out because they called the guy safe at first, which was another screw up because he was clearly out at first.
Uh-huh.
So everything is going crazy in baseball. The umpiring is terrible. And that's why, getting back to the original topic, the umpiring is so bad that I don't think they know the rules anymore. And
Yeah.
I would think if you hit a guy in the head and you hit the next guy, did they at least give a warning?
They only gave a warning because the manager of the Phillies came out obviously mad, yelling, screaming, this, that, and the other. And then they eventually threw him out of the game, probably because he said something choice. But that's the situation we live in. Maybe they assume that, oh, well, he can continue to hit as many batters as come up to the plate. I don't know.
I I'm at a loss. I don't know, and I don't know what they're doing anymore, and the whole political correct thing, which we've discussed before. Um, our good friend Jeff Cohen of Baseball and Barbecue sent us a little note this week about the Cincinnati Reds. They put up the K's for a
Uh-huh.
strikeout, but they won't put up the third K. They wait until the pitcher gets a fourth strikeout because they don't want their sign saying KKK
Right.
for the politically correct crowd. So I kind of get it that that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, come on, you're at a ball game,
And what they used to do was on the third strike, have a backwards K or turn it
right?
upside down, something like that. So
Right.
yeah, it's just semantics. It's it's sort of like 666. Are you going to put that on a, do you want to put that around on a scoreboard? Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you got to.
But you know, with that, I think that's going a little far and not the original intention of what a strikeout is, obviously. Well, then change it to an S for a strike.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Three S's.
right.
All
But
right.
those.
Well, we've ranted quite enough on those subjects. Let's bring a little love into this broadcast
Bring a
before we
little
bring the curtains down on it.
love. Bring a
And
little
we all
love.
remember, back in the day when you're younger and you go out on a date. Well, a guy's friend wanted to keep up with him on his date. He took a date out to the Arizona Diamondbacks game. So he decided to contact the Diamondbacks on Twitter and said, "Hey, could you check in on my friend? He's out on a first date." So if you're watching the YouTube feed, it's a hilarious story where, the Diamondbacks went all in on this and, oh, sure, we'll check in on them. What did they do? They put them on the Diamond Vision screen out there, or whatever they call it in Arizona.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they took care of him in a very public way. They gave him baseballs, tweeted it out even, a reply back to him. Hey, here's your friend. We put him on the big screen. So uh, Arizona Diamondbacks, they get kudos from me on this. This is great.
Yeah, but I think the question is, did he get a second date then?
Well, um, apparently this was the second date. Now
Oh, okay.
he sent out a tweet on his own. Glad my second date was broadcasted to all of Twitter. So um, very good. Now the Diamondbacks here going along with the theme. But the question on everyone's mind, they tweeted out, is there going to be a third date?
Third
So
date.
here's
Yeah.
here's the lucky couple there. If you're watching on YouTube, uh, a match made in baseball heaven, so to speak.
I mean, if she's not a big fan, that could be a little bit of a problem there.
Yeah, and they look like fans of the game there, but great story there. Love to see that, especially in this COVID era. Um, Baseball bringing together two hearts.
And people being back at the ballpark, it's wonderful, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah. 10,900 the other night in Philadelphia, taking on your New York Mets. And by the way, thanks for having me on Mets Musings. I enjoyed talking a little Phillies Mets with you last week.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for taking the time.
So check that out if you're listening for podcasts. Mets Musings out there, great show. I check it out every week with Gary talking about the Mets. Fighting Phillies podcast is one of mine. I hope to get one out today. There's been a little delay in getting them. I always want to do a podcast, but my co-host I feel bad for because I don't want to spring it on them in the last minute, which I usually have been doing on them. So, but the rest, as Gary mentioned, baseball and barbecue, great podcast there. You want to find out a little bit about barbecuing food? We're getting into that time, Gary.
And they're all on baseballtalkradio.com. So you can hear those great podcasts and tons of other ones as well. Not just our podcast. Rich has put together a lineup of some really good podcasts, and It's always expanding, and because you got to keep checking these podcasts. Some people just stop doing them, and it's a lot of work. And Rich does a great job at that. And so go check it out, baseballtalkradio.com or baseballpodcast.net. Either one will get you to that site.
Very cool. Yeah, check it out. And Gary, you want to end the show with our last topic of the week here? Mad Bumgarner. He gets a 7 inning no hitter, and I saw some debate back and forth on this during the week. But it doesn't count according to the MLB. It doesn't count as a no hitter. I support that. How do you feel about it?
I have to disagree with you. I feel this way, Rich, that they based this on an antiquated rule. At the time, that rule was based on rain shortened games or, some something that's canceled for whatever reason. That is okay in my book. But this is a sanctioned game by Major League Baseball. They changed the rule. They changed the rule for a doubleheader to make 7 innings an official game. If all the stats count in that game as official, a team gets a win, a team gets a loss, hits count, home runs count, then the no-hitter should also count. They can put it down as a shortened game no-hitter or a 7 inning or double-header no-hitter, but because they changed the rule and they sanctioned it, MLB, that should make that an official no-hitter.
All right, but the only
He
problem.
can't pitch. He can't. He couldn't pitch 2 more innings even if he wanted to, because they made it illegal. They made it a 7 inning game. So his argument could be, well, I was ready to go 2 more innings, but you made it a 7 inning game. So the moment that they made the 7 inning game and changed that rule that doubleheaders would be 7 innings, then they have to make that other rule and make it a no-hitter. It's the only fair way. It's
Okay.
not fair.
But I'm going to have to share something from the MLB here on the screen. You want to put it up there? An official perfect game occurs when a pitcher or pitchers retires each batter on the opposing team during the entire course of the game, which consists of at least 9 innings. In a perfect game, no batter reaches the base during the course of any game. Of course, an official no-hit game occurs when a pitcher or pitchers allows no hits during the entire game, which consists of at least 9 innings. In a no-hit game, batter may reach the base via a walk, an error, a hit by pitch, a pass ball, or wild pitch on strike three, or catcher's interference. So they have the during a 9 inning game prevalent in the rules, and that's what holds it up. I agree that should he get an asterisk, somehow, probably, but yeah, I can see your point with and I'll stop the screen share now. I can see your point with the rule being sort of convoluted now that there are 7 inning games, but I still support the no hitter, no perfect game within 7 inning games rule. If they had said it was a no hitter, then I would have been like you with your not outrage, but disappointment that it wasn't called a no hitter. I'd be disappointed that it was called a no hitter.
Yeah, but you see, even that rule that was based on a commission that was in 1990, headed by Faye
Louis
Vincent, I
Kuhn.
believe.
Okay.
And it was not, they never took into the idea of a 7 inning doubleheader. So what that should read, rule should read, that rule is that a game consisting of 9 innings, or in a doubleheader consisting of 7 innings. And that just leaves out what they're afraid of. But so no pitcher in this day and age with these new rules will be able to pitch a doubleheader, pitch a no hitter in a doubleheader, because they're always going to get shut out of that. It's not fair. They changed the rules, not the players. It wasn't the weather. He could not pitch 9 innings because there was no more innings to pitch, because Major League Baseball changed the rule. And if they changed the rule, then they should have adjusted this. This is another instance where they have they're narrow-minded. They didn't see the issue, and now that's why we're having this discussion, and people are on some instances outraged, and some people aren't. I just think if you're gonna change the rules, then everything's got to be changed about it. It's got to count. You count it as a complete win. He gets, now, does he get credit for a complete game?
That's a good question, and I hadn't looked into it. So
I believe he does. Let me look. I
Baumgartner. Let's see. Let's look it up here. Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree what you're saying. It is a loophole created by Major League Baseball, a gray area. You could drive a bus through it, and it's something that shouldn't be. I agree wholeheartedly with you, but I at the same time agree that I don't think that that should count as a perfect game, or actually a no hitter in this case. But how about a perfect game? You have a guy going 7 innings, and he doesn't allow a hit. Is that a perfect game in that estimation? Only if the
yes.
rules are changed, in my opinion.
If it's in a doubleheader, then it should be a perfect game.
And I'm bringing up that box score. The game happened. Let's see, 7 innings during the week that we took off here. And the date was Sunday, actually, on the day that we did our last podcast. Baumgartner and Smiley went at it. Arizona Diamondbacks won the game 7-0. I'm looking at the box score right now. And let's see here. Arizona Diamondbacks in Atlanta. Let's see. Here's the 20,693 took viewing of that game in Atlanta, by the way. So there was a lot of fans there present at the game. And let's see. I'm scrolling down to the pitching results here. 7 innings with no hits, no earned runs. And interestingly enough, Madison Bumgarner's ERA is 6.31. So not having the greatest of years, obviously. And pretty strange that he can do that well with such a high ERA. Not sure that he got credit. He does show one complete game for the year, and it doesn't show on this box score that it was a complete game. But still a lot of controversy in this. And
Well, let's just say this: that if he gets credited with a complete game, then it's a no hitter. That's simple. Elias Sports Bureau calls it a notable achievement. Well, if a guy throws 7 innings of a no hitter and then goes to the eighth inning and gets hit, you're going to rule that a notable achievement as well? That's not. It's a one hitter or two hitter, whatever it ends up as. But this was within the gamut of the rules. This is the rules they made. See, that's the argument. You can't base something on a 1992 committee that says it has to be 9 innings when you never foresaw this rule. When you changed the rule to put doubleheaders as 7 innings, then you have to allow that to happen. It's not his fault. He can't pitch 9 innings if there's no more innings left in the official game.
yeah,
Now,
and
if
of
he
course,
pitched if he pitched 5 innings and he got rained out, then it was that's an official game. That's different. But this was an official game legislated as an official game because of a doubleheader and the pandemic. So either you got to go back to 9 innings because we will never see a no hitter in a doubleheader. It's that simple. Because they'll say all the time, "Oh, it's only 7 innings." Well, what do you want them to do?
yeah, it's definitely a gray area. And it's one of those things that, an asterisk may not even help with the way the rule is written. And if they continue this next year with the 7 game doubleheaders, then I think they're going to have to make a determination in this off season. Is this or is this not qualifying for either a perfect game or a shutout? Obviously, a shutout, but even a no hitter is what I meant to say.
Right.
But Bumgardner at ERA 5.58 now, 3-2 on the season. Had a great game that particular game, but apparently not going to be the no hitter for him. So we can cover this over the year, and we'll see. I'm sure there's going to be more of these happen during the year. We're only into May now, Gary.
Yeah. It just I don't know. It just, to me, another example of Manfred screwing up the game and not having a long-term plan or a long-term vision of what he's trying to do. I mean, this is clearly, it's not an easy task to throw 7 innings. And, had he gone 2 more innings, we don't know, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I can get far fetched and say, what happens if a guy's got 3 home runs and, you know, uh, can you say, oh, well, he would have hit a fourth one in the game? No, you can't say that. It's, you can't give him credit for anything more, but this was what they ruled. They changed the rule. Nobody else did.
That's true. So I think this is something that they would need to think about in the off season. I'm sure they probably will now that it's attracted so much attention with the baseball fans and controversy at that. But it was a complete week in baseball. Seems like things are getting even better as the year goes on.
Yeah, it is. The weather's starting to warm up a little bit, so maybe we won't have as many cancellations. But boy, Can anybody hit this year? The offense is awful all across the board. And again, I blame Major League Baseball with this, as we stated earlier, with this infatuation with velocity and not counting. Strikeouts is just an out. No, it's not. It's not just another out. If you put the ball in play, there's a chance something can happen. So please do not tell me that strikeouts is just another out. You can hit a ground ball and move a runner over. A strikeout doesn't do anything. Unless, of course, you're the Mets and you strike out a guy and the catcher doesn't catch it and 2 runs score for the Phillies and they win the game that way. But, that's something only that would happen for the Mets.
Right, right. And another interesting development, since you bring up the Mets and the season of the slump, which is a good article, USA Today. You want to check that out. It also involves this. Met fans not very happy with their superstar, booed them at home. So, that's something that Phillies fans would do, certainly. But an interesting story, and I can't wait to listen to your take on that on Mets Musings on the next show.
Well, fans got the right to boo. It's part of their money, and I'm not a fan of it myself. But you know what? It gets frustrating. I mean, this guy's getting $340 million, and it's like he forgot how to play the game of baseball all of a sudden. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. Trying to pull outside pitches. Everybody wants to be Babe Ruth today in this game because again, I hate to keep beating a dead horse and going back to the velocity thing, but everybody wants to hit the ball hard. You know what? I was watching a game the other day. I forget who it was. Shift was on, left-handed batter. He took a half a swing. He hit a roller or slow, low line drive. Wasn't very hard. Right down the left field line, he got a double, 2 runs scored. That's the name of the game, getting the guys in. Doesn't matter whether you hit it, as I said before. I get a kick with these. It's interesting. Oh, he hit a 450-foot home run. Okay. Still 1 run if there's nobody on base. Whether he hits it 450 feet, 500 feet, or if he just clears the wall, it's still 1 run. So, this gargantuan idea that they have, and the players take it to heart. Look at Pete Alonso. The guy's, swinging for the fences every time up. And what's he hitting? 210, 213? I don't even know what he's hitting. 6, as I said earlier, he struck out 6 times in a row over 2 games. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. They just don't know. They come up to the majors. They're not prepared anymore. They don't know how to play the game of baseball. And the slide, everybody slides headfirst into home plate. And they had to change the rule because the catcher got hurt. What are they going to do if a guy ever gets hurt, breaks a hand, breaks a finger, or break an arm or something? But you can't because the catcher can't do anything anymore. You never slide head first into home plate. It's so ridiculous. I cringe every time I see it. But they don't know how to slide even.
Well, now it's all about sliding around the catcher and getting your hands in underneath of them, or anyhow you can get into home plate, because they know the catcher can't block the plate legally now. So they've opened up a can of worms with players that feel that they need to slide head first in order to score on a close play. But, that's part of that rule change, as you said.
Well,
Um,
to address that, Rich, there's a famous picture. I forget. I think it's Joe DiMaggio sliding into home plate, and he's hook sliding in, and the catcher is like behind home plate or in front of home plate or blocking home plate, and he is hook sliding into home plate. It used to be an art. He used to have a hook slide. These guys, all they know how to do is this stupid pop up slide that they start too late half the time. I saw a guy the other day almost break his leg because he slid too late. And he was all crashing into the shortstop. He don't know how to slide. They don't know how to slide. That's the whole thing. I mean, how many times have you seen where a guy sliding into second base on a steal and his lead leg is in the air and goes over the base and they tag him and he's out? And you watch the replay and he's out because his foot never touched the bag, the lead leg. Because they're so used to sliding with this stupid pop-up idea that they want to hit with the back leg, and pop up with the lead leg. But you're getting called out. When do we make this change? When do teams pick up on this? Is there no analytics for sliding? Is there no analytics for ball bunting's a waste of time? No, it's not. You bunt the ball, you put it in play. Guy could throw it over the first baseman's head. He could throw it over the second baseman's head, the third baseman's head. He could fall down when he's trying to bunt. You're on base. There's numerous things that can happen. And there's more action then than watching some guy. I mean, it's boring. It is boring. Watching the Mets is boring. Because they just watch guys. They watch the pitches go by, strike one, strike two, and then they swing and miss, strike three.
Yeah, well, along that same theme as we're doing the podcast today, the Mets and the Phillies will square off on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball tonight. So, going to be a good game. And of course, all these issues that we just talked about on the program will probably surface, being Lindor's struggles early on with the Mets, Harper's being hit. Some people expect him possibly to be back. I don't know. And they might want to keep him out for a couple more games just for precautions, but going to be a good game tonight. If you're listening to the podcast this afternoon as we're doing it here on May 2nd, I'm looking forward to it, Gary.
Yep, should be a good one, Rich. And I don't know, what's the pitching matchup? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, it looks like, let's see here. I got it up on the screen. David Peterson going for the Mets against Zach Eflin. So Peterson's 1-3. He's got a 5.59 ERA for the Mets so far. And Zach Eflin, he's a little bit better than he used to be for the Phillies. 1-1, 3.58 ERA. So those two teams will square off tonight in Philadelphia. And it'll be on the national stage. So anybody that didn't hear about these issues will probably learn about them tonight.
Well, yeah, you probably will, and probably hear about it quite a bit, or just keep tuning in to Mets Musings. You'll hear about it there.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show for May 2nd here. And as usual, I can't wait till next week's show, Gary.
Yep. Same here, Rich. And I guess we'll see everybody then.